Psalm 24 is a psalm of surrender. The context is where David, as he is taken over the city of Jerusalem, was formerly the city of the Jebusites. As he conquered that, Joab really so instrumental in that, Joab his general, he tried to bring, the Ark of the Covenant up into the city, and it was a real worthy goal. It was a great thing to try and do, but he tried to do it the wrong way, the right thing the wrong way, and there ended up, becoming a disaster. And so they took the ark and they put it up into the house of Obed-Edom. And now David, having figured out that he had, they hadn't done it according to the word, sent the priest back to the word and said, now let's transport the ark the way that God said for the ark to be transported. And now here is this psalm that was written by David for when that ark was being brought up into Jerusalem for the first time, and the ark represented to the Hebrew people the presence of God. And so David here, the thrill of his heart, this, little shepherd boy made king, and his whole desire was to return the Lord to the center of the national life of the people. And so he's so excited, and the psalm was written for that purpose. And he said, the earth is the Lord's, and all of its fullness, the world and all those who dwell therein. And he has founded it upon the seas and established it upon the waters. The earth is the Lord's. Why? Because he made it. And so there's just that celebration of the fact that everything is the Lord's. And he can give any portion of it to whoever he wants, just like he did, the city of the Jebusites that was made, Mount Zion, made Jerusalem. And then he says, who may ascend into the hill of the Lord, as this is being sung? Actually, David's got two choirs going. One choir is singing a portion of the psalm, and when that choir stops, then the other choir comes in and sings, its portion. And so that first choir sings the first the first three verses, who may ascend into the hill of the Lord, and who may stand in his holy place. And so the first choir raises the question, who is, worthy to do this? And then the second choir kicks in verse 4 and answers, he who has clean hands and a pure heart, and outward life and an inward life, who has not lifted up his soul to an idol, nor sworn deceitfully, he shall receive blessing from the Lord and righteousness from the God of his salvation. This is Jacob, the generation of those who seek him, who seek your face. And so, a holy God, and what's needed to, worship properly a holy God is a holy life. And so, that beautiful fellowship with a holy God through a holy life. And then the first choir kicks back in again in verse 7 and says, lift up your heads, O ye gates. And so now the ark is approaching, entering into the gate of the city. And be lifted up, your everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in. Again, the ark representing the presence of the Lord. And then the second choir says, who is this King of glory? And the first choir says, the Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. And lift up your gates, your heads, O you gates, and lift them up, you everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in. And then the second choir says, who is this King of glory? And then the first choir says, the Lord of hosts, he is the King of glory. And so, David, that's so beautiful. Okay, let's not just carry it in. Let's write a song about bringing the ark in, and so excited about it. And David, it's like so often you read, it's like a little boy in his relationship with the Lord. It's just so excellent. And so that praising the Lord for his sovereignty, he's almighty, and now calling to the city, now surrender yourself, open your gates. They'd never open their gates to an enemy. Now open your gates, surrender now to the presence of the Lord. And of course, the tragedy is that 1,000 years later, a little more than 1,000 years later, all of what this was a picture of or a type of would turn out very, very badly, because 1,000 years later, Jesus himself, not representing the presence of God, but God himself, would come down in that triumphant entry into Jerusalem. And God had spoken through Daniel the very day that he would come, and no one was ready for him, except for a few disciples who sang the Messianic Psalms, blessed, singing the blessing, Hosanna, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. And as they laid down the palm branches in their garments, and then they said, hey, hush your disciples up concerning this. They're singing this to you, and they knew it was messianic. And Jesus said, listen, if they were to be quiet, the very stones would cry out, because these psalms were meant to be sung to the Messiah, and the Messiah is here whether you want to face it or not. And so what was once such a celebration for the type to come into Jerusalem, 1,000 years later, when the actual substance came in, Jesus would find himself a place inside that city, and he would weep over the city because they didn't know their day. It's a beautiful psalm, Psalm 24. It's a psalm to me of surrender, and just the joy it is, the privilege that it is to be able to surrender our hearts, to open up the gates to him and surrender ourselves completely to the Lord. Psalm 25. David writes, I wait